Project Prolepsis is a book set in the 1930s involving a man named Henry Johnson, who develops a lifelong philosophy that the past is irrelevant and must be abandoned to successfully move forward as a society. Some people might say that those who don't remember the past are bound to repeat it. Henry argues the opposite. He believes we can never truly have free will as long as we are subconsciously biased by the decisions and actions of our ancestors. He does believe that the achievements of the past as they exist in the present are important. For example, you don't need to know that the Wright brothers made the first successful flight to be a master of aeronautics. However, you would use the information their actions eventually led to. Being a wealthy New York representative with a silver tongue, Johnson commissions the construction of the world's first city seastead on a platform in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, far from the coast of California. Upon its completion in 1927, Johnson called his city Prolepsis. The name means a representation or assumption of a future act or development as if presently existing or accomplished. Not everyone was allowed to immigrate to the new city, however. To become a citizen of Prolepsis, immigrants had to give up their knowledge of the past. In other words, each citizen would have no memory of the things that happened before they were born. When the American stock market crashed in 1929 and the Great Depression began to set in, the requirements of becoming a Prolepsian citizen seemed a small price to pay for the promise of decent housing and a new start. People flocked to the White City until eventually it refused to accept anymore. Prolepsis was a city of pursuing the future, or at least what they thought the future looked like. Its retro-futuristic architecture, unique consumer products, and interesting social structures all reflected this. The heart of the story occurs several years after the city is founded, when it has become so focused on the future that its citizens actually begin to see it. There are plenty of books that portray individuals who see the future. However, the focus of Project Prolepsis is what kind of culture evolves from a society of prophets, or visionaries as they were called in Prolepsis. Imagine if someone from the 30s had a vision of an iPad. Since even the television had not yet become commercialized, they would have very little idea what they were looking at. They might describe it as a world inside a screen, and then attempt to recreate it using the technology and information available to them at that time. Because of this, Prolepsis became the home to some peculiar products and ideas that deviated from the timeline of the rest of the world, thus living up to its name. In the end, a series of events took place in Prolepsis that the reader might recognize from our own history. Since the city had no knowledge of the past, it was completely unprepared. The book itself is laid out in a unique format that relies heavily on visual elements. Each section has an icon to indicate what kind of material follows. There is the main narrative, first, second, and third-hand accounts, audio dictations, letters, and newspaper articles. The main narrative is told by the sole survivor of Prolepsis, which disappeared about 14 years after it was founded. Both the cause of its disappearance and the identity of the author remain unknown. The audio dictation icons will be more than a simple indicator. In the ebook version, they can be double-clicked to hear the original voice recording.
Next to Johnson, I have invested more of myself into this city than any other person.
The dictations will be numbered in the physical copies of the book, and the recordings will be available for the readers to listen to on the internet. To see more from the city of Prolepsis and to get a better feel for the story, visit the interactive website at www.projectprolepsis.com. Thank you for your support.